You've got the perfect cast, the bass follows, strikes, and spits it out. What if the real reason wasn't your lure's action or color, but something most anglers completely overlook? The bass's sense of smell. After 30 years chasing largemouth from those muddy farm ponds where I started as a kid to big reservoirs with my boat, I've learned that smell is the hidden sense that decides whether a bass commits or rejects your bait. I'm Travis from Green Valley Anglers, and today we're diving into the science of bass olfaction, the anatomy of their nasal rosette, key studies on amino-acid detection, and exactly which scents trigger more strikes versus which ones cause short strikes or spits. You'll discover how bass use smell as a social and foraging cue, the practical scent strategies that turn followers into hook sets, and the common mistakes that cost fish every day.
And look, I get it. When you're staring at a tackle box full of colors, actions, and rattles, smell is easy to ignore. It doesn't flash, it doesn't wobble, and you can't see it working. But once you start paying attention to it, you'll notice the difference in how long fish hold on, how often they commit instead of just bumping your bait, and how many of those follow and turn away moments turn into solid hook sets instead.
Stick with me. This knowledge has saved more bites for me than any new rod ever could. These fish have a functional but not elite sense of smell compared to scent specialists like catfish or trout. Water flows into their paired nostrils called nares on the snout, passes over an olfactory rosette, a folded structure lined with sensory cells, and exits through the rear opening. The 2019 Kim et al. Study on the olfactory organ of largemouth bass used stereo and light microscopy to map the detailed anatomy and histology. They found 8 to 20 folds in the rosette, far fewer than the 120 plus folds in highly olfactory fish like catfish. This means bass have a less developed but still effective chemosensory system, tuned primarily to amino acids, the building blocks of proteins in their natural prey like crawfish, shad, and bluegill. And here's why that matters on the water. Bass aren't relying on smell the way a catfish would, hunting purely by scent and zero visibility. Instead, think of it as a supporting sense that kicks in hardest during the final few inches of the strike zone, confirming what their eyes and lateral line already picked up. That's exactly why a bait can look and vibrate perfectly and still get refused. The smell just doesn't seal the deal. Those folds might look simple, but each one is packed with tiny sensory cells that give these fish a surprisingly sharp read on their world up close. It's not about smelling from a mile away. It's about fine-tuning the decision right as they're closing in on your bait. Unlike vision, or the lateral line, smell travels slowly in water but persists longer, giving bass a chemical scent trail to follow in low-visibility conditions. I remember my early pond days throwing silent plastics and wondering why bass would follow but never commit. One day I started dipping baits in natural prey scents rich in amino acids, and suddenly those short strikes turned into solid eats. That was my first real clue. Smell is what seals the deal after the initial investigation. I've seen that same pattern play out over and over since then, on clear reservoirs, stained rivers, you name it. The moment I started thinking about what a bass could smell, not just what it could see, my whole approach to finesse fishing changed for good. The desire we all chase? More committed bites and fewer lost fish. Miss the smell factor though, and you're leaving fish on the table. Those followers that look at your lure but reject it at the last second.
But get it right, and suddenly your hookup ratio skyrockets because you're speaking the fish's chemical language.
So bass can smell, but what specific odors actually matter to them? The research on amino acids gives us the answer. Dr. Keith Jones, former head scientist at Berkley's Fish Lab, conducted extensive testing on bass chemoreception. His work identified a specific set of amino acids that largemouth bass respond positively to. Primarily L-arginine, L-lysine, and other meaty protein building blocks found in natural prey.
Bass detect these at extremely low concentrations, sometimes as dilute as a couple of ounces mixed in thousands of gallons of water.
The olfactory system sends signals directly to the brain's feeding centers, helping bass locate and evaluate potential food. In murky water, or at night, smell becomes even more critical for foraging. My breakthrough came on a stained southern reservoir. Bass were following crankbaits but spitting them. I switched to a rattling jig with a craw trailer dipped in pure crawfish scent, high in arginine and lysine, and the short strikes disappeared. That research finally explained why. Once I understood that, I stopped guessing about scent and started treating it like a real part of my presentation, right alongside color and action. It's a small adjustment that makes a massive difference on tough days when the bite gets tricky. Smell isn't just about food. Bass also use it for social communication and danger signals. bass release, and detect chemical cues from other fish, including alarm substances when injured or stressed. Research on fish chemosensory systems shows these pheromones trigger avoidance behavior, helping bass evade predators or recognize schooling mates. They also use individual scent signatures for social recognition. Bass can identify familiar fish by smell alone. I actually watched this play out on my home pond one evening. A school of bass scattered the second one of their own got spooked and released that alarm scent, even though nothing else in the water had changed. It was a clear reminder that these fish are reading chemical signals constantly, whether we realize it or not. 3 practical takeaways from the science. 1. Avoid strong human scents or repellents on your hands and gear. 2. In pressured lakes, natural, prey-based scents can override caution. 3. Alarm pheromones from stressed bait fish can actually repel bass, so fresh, healthy bait or matching scents work best. I've seen this on clear, pressured lakes, bass ignoring everything until I used a subtle crawfish amino-acid dip. The chemical cue matched their natural prey profile and turned neutral fish into committed eaters. Now we have the science. Let's turn it into a simple system you can use every trip. Build a scent-focused system. 1. Prioritize amino-acid-rich scents from real prey, like crawfish, shad, and worm. 2. Dip or impregnate soft plastics and trailers right before casting. 3. Use scent as a finisher after the strike. Apply it to increase holding time. Common pitfalls to avoid. 1. Over-scenting in clear water. Bass can detect unnatural concentrations and reject the bait. 2. Using sweet or fruity scents that have no biological relevance to bass prey. 3. Ignoring water temperature. Scent disperses slower in cold water, so use less in winter and more in warm conditions. I'll also say this: don't overthink the brand or the formula. What matters way more is matching the actual profile, crawfish, shad, or worm, to what's naturally in the water you're fishing. A $5 dip that matches the forage will outfish an expensive scent that doesn't, every single time. Keep it simple, keep it natural, and reapply consistently, and you'll outproduce anglers who never think about scent at all. One more thing I've learned the hard way: reapply scent often. It breaks down fast in the water, especially with current or heavy retrieves, so a bait that worked great 10 casts ago might already be running dry by the next one. My pond to lake journey taught me this the hard way. Early on, I ignored scent entirely. Once I started matching natural amino acid profiles with dips and impregnated plastics, my catch rates climbed steadily, especially on pressured fish. That desire for more bites and bigger fish, it explodes when you give bass the exact chemical signature they evolved to recognize. More committed strikes, fewer spits, and healthier releases because fish swallow faster. One final system to make this stick on every trip. Carry 3 scent profiles: crawfish for structure fishing, shad for open water, and worm for finesse. Test one scented versus unscented bait in new spots. In 2026's variable conditions, these tweaks will give you the edge. More fish in the boat, fewer lost opportunities.
Recap. These fish have a functional olfactory rosette tuned to amino acids, with Kim 2019 mapping the anatomy, Jones identifying the key attractants, and pheromone research showing social and alarm cues.
Use the right chemical signatures and watch your hookup ratio soar. Drop your best scent tip below. I'll reply. Subscribe to Green Valley Anglers for more science-backed bass tips. Hit the bell, share if it sharpened your game. Let's keep catching more. Tight lines, Travis out.